Yeah, you're on.
Okay, and I slide into the picture. Hello, everybody. I'm back. And as usual, crazy things are happening.
I don't think we see you. Oh, there you are.
Oh, I'm here now. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
Barely. You're out the corner.
Okay. I got my Bambi mug today, and my Jiminy Cricket T-shirt, and my Mickey Mouse frame picture from the painting I did. And hi everybody. So nice to have you around. I'm so glad to be back. Had fun in Louisville for 4 days. A lot of you saw the pictures I posted. Romina is here with me. Romina Blake. Hi, Romina. Let's see if this works this time. They can see. Oh look, yeah, there she is. There's Romina. You're on the screen. I think we've got the light right finally. So, all right. I'll leave that up for a few minutes. Stuff I got. Our friends Holly and Rick live in near Louisville, and we go down and see them at least once a year. I think we go down and spend 3 or 4 days with them, have a blast, and we thought we were going to Louisville for something else. Actually, to go to this place that has all kinds of stuff from estate sales and everything. Really neat shop. And as we're getting off, I'm thinking this is a different way we're going, because we're getting off right by the Ohio River on the Louisville side, and here's this big riverboat. And Susie says, she's in the back seat with Holly. She goes, "Oh, I love that." She says, "We keep talking about doing that someday." And Holly says, "Oh, that's great to hear, because we are doing that." And I went, "What do you mean we're doing that?" She goes, "That's where we're going." And we ended up on a nice little cruise up the Ohio River, and a great lunch. And in fact, I was able to buy I forgot what the drink was called, but it was very fruity, but didn't have a lot of alcohol in it.
Is it a hurricane?
It's a Belle Louisville riverboats. So, and it's evidently metal. Look at the inside; it's nice. So I drank that, and of course I had on my put it on straight, RJ. There we go. All right. And Holly turned around to take the picture of me once, and I went like this. That's a great picture. But even better, you're going to love this. Wait a minute. I'm going to go off screen for a minute. Because people were seeing me with the captain's hat and going, "Hey, Captain, arg, arg." I got to get that guy in the center. Here we go. He's right here. There. I've got a pirate scarf. I'm all set. I'm my own Pirates of the Caribbean. So, oh wait, hold on. Don't go away. And this that I got years ago, this fits perfectly with this now, because I can have a sword fight with my Pirates of the Caribbean Mickey Mouse sword. Matey. That's enough of that.
You need an earring now. An earring. A big earring.
Yeah, my wife will love that. I guess get a real one. Yeah. And then when we got home, our son Sean and Sandy and our grandson Fletcher, they had gone to this big party on Saturday night that we I'm fixing my hair in the screen here. Anyway, it was all theater people, and they were having a blast, and it was actually themed about artists. So our friends Pam and Ben, who host this summer soiree every year, have a different theme. And they were so upset when they found out we weren't going to be there because she says, because everybody's going to try to come something artistic, like an artist or something else. And um, so they said, you could just come as yourself. I went, well, cool. But anyway, they got me a sticker patch from the party of guess who, Bob Ross. And better yet, now, because you know how many accidents I have and cutting my finger and everything else, I have these official Bob Ross bandages. I think I've gone over the edge. Uh, I'm I'm in another universe. Don't laugh at me. Romina's over here. Just give me a. So I'm going to tell you about some things that happened. I'm going to show you what's going on here with this painting, which is of Main Street and the castle, Sleeping Beauty's castle. So that's fun. And I can lower that a little bit. I'll lower it more. I'll show you how I'm laying this out. I made the mistake this morning because I turned my laptop on and it said Windows is preparing to do updates. Do you want to do it now or pick a time? And I went, well, it usually takes like an hour. I said, sure, do it now. 20 minutes to 3, they finally finished doing the updates. Forever it's at 2% for like an hour. Going, oh, so I called Romina. I says, okay, we may have a problem. But 20 minutes to 3, it finally came on. Then it took forever for me to start up the computer and get stuff to come up. But here we are. Woohoo! Okay, so what's been happening? We left Thursday to go to Louisville, and our grandson Alex and our granddaughter Libby stayed here with our dog Shayla and took care of her and took care of the house. And we bought them back some neat things from Louisville. And anyway, on Wednesday last week, I get a message from Jen Evans at the Museum and History and Museum Center down in downtown Orlando. I only lived there for like 20 years, in downtown Aurora, about the mural. And she says, okay, we need to start talking about budget and the material costs on these aluminum panels that we're going to paint it on. This wall I'm going to do this mural on. And when I say I'm going to do the mural, because it's going to happen now. We're very excited because when I got back, I messaged her. We got back Monday afternoon. I messaged her on Tuesday, and she came back and she said, yes, we have got the grant from the National Endowment of the Arts, and now she's currently working on raising the rest of the money, and our target date to start is January. No, I will not be outside painting. These are going. This wall is about 30 plus feet high and exactly 100 feet long. There's a 20-foot little park in front of it, city park, very nice and everything, but it makes it very difficult to put scaffolding in there because first of all, you're not even on concrete, you're on dirt and grass, right? And you got to contend with the plantings and the bushes and everything else. So we decided that I would paint this on aluminum panels. So Jen is now working on finding costs and prices and everything. And we will have, if they are 4 foot by 8 foot, we'll probably have about 75 panels. It'll be like a big puzzle. Because actually the lower part, I'm not going to paint all the way to the ground. I'm going to probably come up about 6 feet because of the planting. I will get with the Aurora horticulturalist, Kathy, who I know now, And we will go and discuss the trees and the plants and how much bigger they're going to get, if they'll stay trimmed, so I'll know exactly how to do the bottom part and where the mural will start. And the bottom part probably will be done, and we'll just paint the brick, it's a brick wall. It's very, very old building, historic building, and so whatever we'll paint the bottom part of the brick, I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure it out. So that's where that's going. So the great thing is I'll be painting inside, and at the History Museum and Art Museum are both in the same building. It's a three-story building. When you walk in, there's a really neat gift shop that is for the History Museum, and actually that first gallery downstairs is used sometimes for historic things and other times for some art displays. But it's right now, as they've got the exhibit in there for the Vietnam vets, which I showed you all the picture of me in there and stuff. There's Aurora Vietnam vets, and that it will be in there through, I guess, just a couple more days. And then on the second floor is the art museum, and they have constant new shows, new artists. We've seen the neatest stuff in there, great artists in this area. And the third floor is where I will be working on the mural. And on Thursdays that I am working on the mural, I actually will do the broadcast. So you'll actually get to see me working on this mural in pieces. This is going to be a trip. So everybody's going to say, well, what about your paintings? No, I'm still going to be doing paintings. When I start, or I've got work right now into early the first week of February. But what will happen is I work usually about 4 days because I work about 6 to 8 hours a day. And it's pretty intense. I enjoy the hell out of it. Oh, I said hell. Like it's going to hurt somebody's ears, right? Anyway, so, but what I will do is I will work 3 days on the mural and 3 days on paintings. So I'll be going to a 6-day week, and I'll take Sundays off. Try to recharge and get going again. Right, Romeo?
That's right.
Are you with us?
I'm having computer problems.
You're having what? Computer problems? Oh.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
the comments are not showing up, but now they showed up, but I have to take my computer off the cradle, so.
Oh, okay. Oh, Ava, hello from Boston. Oh, Jamie, all kinds of people. Oh, Holly, I miss you, Holly. She's on there as Rick Hines, and she says, Holly here, miss you. Yes, we miss you guys too. We had so much fun. And obviously, Holly, I'm talking about stuff that went on down there. And then something even more spectacular happened while we were there with Holly and Rick and having so much fun and great food and Manhattans and everything else, is that I got a email. I said, I better check my emails. I look on there, and here's a thing from the Armstrong Air and Space Museum in Wapakoneta, Ohio, which is on the northern part of Ohio, but in the lower northern part. The guy that's head of exhibits wanted to know if he could get some additional information from me and what the title of the painting was that I had done, which is First on the Moon, that I painted in 1970, early 70, and I ended up giving it to Neil Armstrong in 1970. Hold on, I'm going to get the picture for those of you who are on here and don't remember what it looks like. Told you I wasn't ready. So there. Okay. Now, that's, I'm going to take it out of there. This is obviously a photo of the painting. It's when I was still painting in oils, and I was painting in very heavy paint at the time. I was experimenting when I did this. So it's very impressionistic. Come a little closer. You can see by the ground, especially, they're standing on. That's all. A lot of that's created by how thick the paint is and stuff. Um, and So that's called First on the Moon. And I guess I sometimes will write on the back, on the frame or something, the stretcher frame of what the title of a painting is. And I hadn't done it on that. And I had always heard that the painting was in the collection in Ohio, but so anyway, he said he wanted that information, and I says, well, that's great, to know that it's there and everything. I says, well, we would love to come visit and see the painting, whether it's on display or not. And he came right back. He said, oh, no, it's in the museum. It's on the wall with other pieces of art that were given to Neil Armstrong. And I says, well, I've got a letter he wrote to me, and this is a copy of the letter. And that's his real signature. Trying to get it in the right spot there. Thanking me for the painting and honoring the space program and everything. So we did that, and I'm thrilled. My painting is hanging in the museum, the Air and Space Museum, the Armstrong Air and Space Museum. So, and they've got, if you bring it up online and look at it, they've got his spacesuit is there, his some of the, I think the Gemini capsule is there that he was in, and all kinds of neat stuff. I mean, really, really cool. And apparently one area is all the artwork and everything else related to his trip, he and Aldrin's stepping onto the moon. Yay. Now, this is pretty cool because I have that happen. I had the thing with the mural. We not too long ago found out that the painting I did of portrait I did, commissioned portrait for Gloria Swanson when she was still alive. She was a famous silent actress, and she did, oh shit, I can't think of the movie. But anyway, famous actress, and that is in the Gloria Swanson archives at the University of Texas in Austin. And so that's there. And then I did, of course, a painting of the ibis in Top Hat and Tails. The ibis is the mascot for my alma mater, University of Miami. And I, of course, had created the second generation ibis costume for the person to go put on and go around in at games and stuff. And the painting is in the Newman Alumni Center. It's beautiful structure, and it's in the main cafeteria right there. I went, wow, that's cool. Also, our books on Disney are in the Newman Center library, which is a really nice, very cozy dark wood library. Now, all that going on. And then, of course, one of the things we were doing is, of course, the last 2 weeks ago, I was painting the Anton. And that was for Brenda Russo, who owns the Brownsboro framing in Louisville, just outside Louisville. And she had a frame that was 20 by 24, and turned out she's had it for 10 years. Absolutely. I posted a picture of it, so a lot of you saw it. Beautiful frame, and works beautifully for this. And so I painted the painting. I actually taped it to some board that I had, and then I could paint it on there. I did not stretch it. So then after it was all dry and everything, I rolled it up, put it in the tube, we took it down and gave it to her. And of course, I posted the picture of me and Brenda at her framing gallery. And that was a lot of fun. So we'll be going down to see her and her husband again. Looking forward to it. Brenda, if you're listening, hi. So now what I'm going to take this off. Try to find a spot right there. Okay. Everybody still there? Anybody have any questions or anything?
I don't see any questions. Everybody's saying hello.
Okay.
So.
All right.
No questions.
Okay. Well, I have all the answers. Okay. This painting here, this is 30 by 40. So you're only seeing, I mean, it goes way over there. This is Main Street. And as you can see, there's the Sleeping Beauty's castle. And you'll see Walt and Mickey, the partner statue, which of course at Disneyland, that's much further out than it is at Magic Kingdom. So, and all this right in here, these are going to be all people that are all going to be watching because there'll be fireworks over here. And you can barely see some of the trees and stuff that I've just quickly sketched in. But right here are the two boys. Let me show you a picture. This started with this sketch I did, okay? And there's the boys down here. And there's the picture I'm using. And she wanted me to be sure to get their smiles, the two boys in the red shirts. And she sent me more pictures so I could have details on their eyes and stuff. Cute kids. They're older than this now, I think. So, and I have so many pictures that I have gotten of Disneyland and pictures I took years ago and everything else, and going through stuff. And I have this because I like the angle. I did not have this angle, so that the castle is offset, and you have this foreshortened perspective here and this long here, which worked for where I wanted the boys. I didn't want them to be dead center. And but the problem is I don't have real good detail to look at on these buildings, because what I do, yes, you can do this, it will not hurt it. Even when it's acrylic. I will put this up like this, tape it on here, and I'll even check. I've got, as a lot of you know, in college I wanted to be an architect. I'm glad I didn't become an architect, then I wouldn't have become a Disney artist. But I started working for architects at the end of my first year of college, and I worked for them all the way through college. And I decided not to be an architect when I found out I just couldn't handle the math, especially the calculus. Nosedive. And so, but the great thing is I, of course, I got into doing a lot of design work, designing buildings, and doing a lot of renderings, which are the paintings you would do, or pen and inks you would do of buildings to show what they would look like before they were built. So I have all kinds of, I mean, everything now, they're doing it on computers. You don't even need it. So I have my drafting tools still, which are great for laying out paintings. But when I'll put a picture up here, if I'm trying to get these angles right and everything, I will put this on here. And then this is great. This is sneaky. I have this triangle, this 45-degree triangle, but I can do this, and it gives you different degrees. Because now I can go on here and put this right here, and let's say I'm trying to figure out, I can line this up with the bottom here, let's say. I'm trying to figure out the angle of a roof line. I can do it this way, like this. I can move that. Okay, I'll line it up with the bottom of the picture. And I'm trying to get this angle right there. Okay, that's close, see. Now, I can go up here, put this here, and actually I sketched this in before. Now, I can line this up with the edge of my canvas. Yeah, you can see that. And then I can do that. Whoops, not like that. I can put in that line, which is now, take that one out, is correct. And I even use pink pearl erasers. So I can take some of that off of there. But I now have the correct angle for this. But of course, see, the problem I have is because this is blurry. I tried sharpening this image up. And of course, the castle is blurry, but I like the angle right there. So I have, let's see, another picture here. I will show you. Don't want to damage that. That is somewhere. Yeah. So I have pictures like this and like this, showing the castle. And I'm not seeing what I wanted to show you, but I can use this as an example. So I can put this on here and do the same thing. I'll tape it on here, and I can get the angles and get all the detail on this castle to lay it out. And while I'm laying it out, believe it or not, the masking tape does not damage the canvas. I can even use that when I have acrylic paint drying. So I can put this, well, let's say right here, and doing it again, I can line it up so it's the right angle here, so it's square with the canvas. And then I can get the angles of my roof lines and everything else. But I will use, as I start laying this castle out, I use an architect's scale. I won't even try to explain it for you. This, you're going like, what? But I can get measurements, and because I'm making this bigger, to make sure I have things properly laid out as this goes along. So I'll measure something on here, and say this roof, I want to find out how high it is. I'll measure on here and say, well, it's certain measurement on here, and I'll match that with something else further down that's the same distance, and I'll come up here and measure a distance here and then a distance here, and I get it almost exactly. So it takes time to lay all this out properly, and so you can see I have to have a better picture of these buildings up here so I can make sure I have it accurate, because what's happening here, these are all trees in the background. These are trees here coming down Main Street, a lot of trees. And then I have a nice area here, part of a tree over here. And then I have same thing over here. These are trees. The ones coming down Main Street. These are actually part of the tree trunks going up. There's a trash can here, which I may not put in. And some of the people again. So I'll be adding more people And you'll see parts of the shops here. You'll see, of course, the tops of buildings here and part of the shops over here. And then this will be a water reflection like so it'll look like this, the one I did of Main Street. Obviously Disney World, Magic Kingdom, with all the people in it. And this actually is blown up a little bit too big because their two kids were right here. And there was more down at the bottom of the painting that you don't see. But you see a reflection in the water. So it's as if it just was a early evening rain and it stopped raining, and so everybody's reflections are there, and you got the fireworks. So that's what I'll be creating. And one of the things I use, two of the things, here's more stuff I use. Okay, well, I'm trying to get straight line up here. I have this big triangle. Obviously, I get paint all over it. I can do this. So it's flat across the bottom here. And I can get nice straight lines, vertical, after I measure them. And if it's higher and I can't reach it, I get my square that I use for woodworking and stuff, and I put it up here because it's higher, and I can do the same thing and get a nice straight line. And I left this sitting up here earlier because I was working, and it went like this and fell on my head. So I don't leave it up there. Rule number one, wear a hard hat when you're laying out a painting with a square. That's metal. If I am, let's get that out of the way. Say I'm erasing something, I'm doing this, well, you go, well, there's all those little erasures on there. I have a draftsman's brush from the years I worked in architecture, and I can go like this, because this is nice and soft. It takes all that right off of there, it keeps the canvas clean. And then I have another little thing. I have templates, different size. Right now I've got a lot of circles. I've got all kinds of stuff. This one has little triangles and squares. But I use this mostly, another one with a lot of circles on it. But I use these mostly to do the, why do I keep losing? Oh, there we go. This is the one I wanted. Because like up here, this goes in an arc on these different parts, and an arc right here on the entrance to the castle. Once I've got it figured out just right, I can put this on there in the right spot and pencil that in, and then the next circle down is a little smaller, and that would be this one here. I can do that, and then I've got a nice clean circle to go by. And I can do this even though this isn't a circular part of the building here. It's I think a six-sided structure right there. It's circular up here. But see, again, those little arcs, I use those circles. And I also have a lot of different French curves for the really unusual curves I might come in contact with. Gives me all these things. So and you thought I just laid it out by hand and just painted away. Well, I do lay it out. I do lay it out. Of course I lay it out by hand. I sketch it in, I do a rough first, and then I come back, and especially when I want this kind of detail. And but when I paint this now, I won't paint it in super detail. There will be a lot of detail. So it's a little bit impressionistic, not totally. You can see some of that in this painting, like in the people. And once if you really get up to the painting, which is this big, and start looking at it, oh, because then when it's photographed and brought down to this side, it sharpens the image up a lot. So it gives a nice quality finish when I'm painting it, though, to make it unique. That's it. A lesson for today. I'm gonna drink from my Bambi cup, put on my pirate hat, and get my cutlass. Oh, Suzanne, my wife, Suzanne, she's going to be on, I think, next week. I'm going to have Susie on the show. Oh, and that's the other thing. If you hadn't heard, our third book, Imagination and Dreams Are Forever, is scheduled to come out in October. So that will be our third and last Disney book. It's a part of the trilogy. And yes, there is a chapter in there called What About Bob? About me and Bob Ross. So, all right. Anything else? I'm looking at Romina. Romina, help me. What's going on?
Tell me more about the Anton Ego painting that you did, because it looked like you did some pencil work, or is it black and white, or what did you do there?
The background on that painting was 2 shades of what looked like gray. To the normal person looking at it, it would just look like a gray background, which got darker toward the top of the painting behind Anton. And but actually, it had raw sienna mixed into the white, titanium white, and ivory black, and quite a bit of it, actually, to get the right color I wanted. If I had just done it in 2 shades of gray with just the black and white, it would have been really stark. This made it look really nice, but kept it soft for the background. And even in his in parts of the painting, in his skin tones, I use more of this raw sienna and some burnt sienna and some burnt umber, and of course black. And but it was fun to do because it had all this going on in it. And the only red that's in the whole painting is a very deep red in the glass of wine that he's drinking. But yeah, it was fun. His suit is black, and it just has highlights in there that again had some blue tones with some raw sienna in it again. And so that color ran throughout the whole painting. And I painted it. Actually, I measured out 20. It was 24 high by 24 across. But then I measured that. I put a little pencil line on the canvas. And then I went out about 1.5 inches on both sides further, painting out the background, top and on the sides, on the bottom, and his pants, painting them further down. Because then when Brenda stretches it on stretcher frames and puts it in the frame, when she stretches it, that painted canvas will go right around the edges of the canvas, and it's a much better finish. Early on, when I did paintings back in my early paintings back in the 60s, and I was doing so many paintings of hippies and all kinds of social subjects and everything else, and but a lot of my paintings, I didn't paint the edges, and because you always assume they're going to be framed. Well, then I think I got into it's when I got into the 70s that I realized it's a much better look. In fact, when I got into Los Olas Gallery in the late 60s, I think 68, 69, yeah, George says you should paint around the sides. And I was stretching all my canvases then. And George said, stop stapling the edges of the canvas, wrap the canvas around the stretchers to the back and staple it there. Ah. So I learned that lesson. Um, Now, the only time I can buy what's great canvas, this is perfect. It's already sized canvas. It's ready. It's mounted in the back. Let me show you the back of this. You're just getting all kinds of lessons in art. See how it's got the corner braces? So, because when the frame when it gets this big, if you don't do that, it can warp on you, get out of whack, and you can straighten it out in the frame, but it's not a good way to go. And it's if you were wondering what I was just doing, this is a great easel. It was made in oh, this was made in Italy, and I had a really crummy easel until about, let's see, 30 years ago. So I have had this for a long time. So I can adjust this thing. I can tilt it forward and back. I can take it all. I can have a canvas that is 6, 7 feet high mounted on this. But this piece here goes up and down, and this piece here slides, and this of course locks the canvas in place, and it's thicker for when I do canvases like the stretch room paintings, which I do on heavy duty stretchers. I don't have one handy to show you, but they're about 1.25 inches thick, whereas this is only, I think, about 5/8 to 3/4 inches thick on the stretchers that this is on. But the heavy duty ones work great for the stretch room paintings. Now I will paint this again. I will paint this around the edges. See, because it's let me turn this around. Regardless, you go. This is stapled on the back and glued, and they've got this inset. This is a different kind of a setup on here. Most of them it's one stretcher bar here. This has got an inset. There's the stretcher here, an inset piece, and they're able to stretch around this outer part and then set this piece into it afterwards. It's like a double piece, and it holds this in tight, gives you a nice edge. And of course, then they have these pieces. So you don't see, the only place you see staples on the canvas on the back or on the corners. There's a staple right there. And but the smaller canvases, you'll see the staples going down the side because it's just a solid piece of wood. And then the stretcher frames, I use the heavy duty ones because those are 16 by 54, those stretch room paintings. I need that weight, I need that size and that strength because I have to stretch those myself. And I don't stretch all my canvases anymore because it takes time. And also I have wounds from Vietnam, and I have shrapnel. I got shrapnel in my hand, one of the places I got hit, and I have trouble with and I'm right-handed. That's why I've learned to also paint with my left hand. But I have trouble with it, and I've lost some strength in my hand, so it's hard to stretch the canvases. But I can stretch, I can do 1 or 2 of them, but if I have to do 3 or 4 in a day, my hand won't hold up. So that's how that works. So I wrap all the way around, and I paint around those edges. So actually, then too, you'd be able to hang the painting without a frame if you wanted. And some people like that. The stretch room paintings look great without a frame. And I do hide Mickeys in all the paintings. So let me think, what else?
Which I'm still trying to find.
You're still trying to find them on yours. The problem is I'll do them, and then once I send the painting from me, and you say, where are they? I say, I don't know. I forgot. And I have to look at it, get a magnifying glass. I will paint them really tiny. I did one painting a few years ago where I actually painted in the profile of Mickey Mouse. It was I was able to hide it because I had roots of the trees and stuff. It was from Jungle Book. But after I did it, I went, I am not doing that again. I probably spent a day working that in so you could not see it unless you actually studied it. And then, oh my God, there it is. So I just do the little, the Mickey, the black symbol with the 2 ears. But I do them as, some of them are as small as a pea. So, if you're expecting to see a really big one, you're not going to see it because I have to do it right to hide them. But otherwise, people go, oh, there's one, and there's one. Well, that's no fun. So, and I did manage to put 2 of them on the Anton painting. It was really hard to find a place I could put them because it actually was a lot of solid colors. It was just some sweeps of color in different places. So it was hard to find spots. I should do it so invisible blacklight paint, which they do have. So the only way I could paint Anton, and then when you turn the black lights on and turn the other lights off, you'd actually see him have big Mickey ears and a big. No, I'm not doing that. Don't ask. Now, also, I have been asked, they're still considering this, but I've been asked, not just once, but a few times, about doing smaller stretch room paintings. And I have come up, I figured it out. And like I said, the ones I do are 16 by 54. They're actually the size of the prints I have. These are limited edition prints on the wall here. And Holly has all 4. I only have 2. And I tried to steal the other 2 from Holly when we were down there. She wouldn't let me have them. Anyway, it took us on a paddle wheel boat instead. It was fun. I got a pirate hat.
You need an earring.
Yeah. So, anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, the size of the stretch paintings. Yes, okay. Anyway, yes, the smaller ones are 12 inches wide and 40 inches high. So, now there's a ruler. It's a 12. It's hard to tell on the picture, but it'd be that wide as opposed to the other one, the bigger one, which is like where my finger is, that much bigger, horizontally. And those are they are less. They don't cost as much, and because there's not as much canvas and for me to paint, and I use less paint. And so there. So if you're interested in stretch room, what?
How long will they be vertically?
40 inches.
40,
So 3 feet 4 inches high. So yeah, wow. It's a nice, so if you have limited space, these would be perfect. And so there. If you're interested in commissioning me for a painting, just message me on Facebook. I will be glad to give you sizes, prices, and of course information on how the commission works. And like I said, don't be worried because I'm talking about this big mural that if scheduling goes right, I'll start in January, but I will work 3 days a week on paintings and 3 days a week of work. I need a drink. Have some coffee. 3 days on the mural. Now, I got to tell you, the mural, like I said, I think you can have these aluminum panels. They're very thin aluminum. And there is another mural. In fact, the Calla Lily Victorian Tea Room that we go to every Friday. In fact, we're going tomorrow because we couldn't go last Friday. Yay! The 2 artists did a beautiful, beautiful job. I posted that picture. I should take another one of the whole wall because what you don't see on the side of their building, because it looks like a market and everything on the side of the building, there's a antique truck they painted in perspective on the far left. And But then up above that big part of the mural, there's more to it, and actually that they painted that on some of the aluminum sheets, which I went out and looked at, and it's probably very thin, maybe a quarter inch at the most in thickness, and you're now saying, how are you going to paint on it? Well, I'm going to use bullseye primer on it first, and as an example, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, there were only two figures in the whole ride at the end that were three-dimensional fiberglass figures. All the others were flat aluminum cutouts. Walt wanted to keep that very cartoonish for that ride. And they were fun to paint because then on the three-dimensional figure, we still painted in the shading and stuff like in the face and, and all this and the highlights. But when you painted it flat, you painted it just like almost like a cartoon figure. So you had maybe the coat was red, and then as it got to the shadow side of the figure, you painted a little bit darker shading on it, and that was really all there was to it. But then of course we did all the line work that you'd have in a cartoon to outline the eyes, the mouth, and the face and everything else. But those were on aluminum. And they were thicker than what I'm going to be painting on, and so they actually weighed more. But we would take that when it was just the raw aluminum, and then put one or two coats of this primer on, let it dry, and then we could paint on it. And of course, those were blacklight figures, so we'd paint those in our blacklight studio in our animation art studio behind Small World. These, like I said, I'm going to be painting these big panels. Now, if they're 4 foot across, I'd say by 8 foot high, I would have about 25 across, 3 rows. So I'd be 24, 24 feet high. I'm going to leave the bottom. I think we were not going to paint on the bottom, the last 6 feet or so to the ground. We'll just paint a solid color down there that works with the garden. And so I'd have 3 rows of these at that size, going 100 feet across. And so, yeah, I can paint the first row. That's nice, because I can put the panels side by side standing up. It's when I go to the next row down, I have to then, the only way I'm going to be able to do it is to lay them on the floor and lay it out and paint flat, because I have to continue whatever. And now I'm going to check, because I think I'll be able to show you the rendering I did of the mural. So I'm going to check with Jen and say, is it okay for me to show this now? Because so many people in Aurora have seen it, because Jen's been showing it to everybody. I want to show it. So, there's buildings and there's all kinds of neat things in Aurora, and all these kids in the mural that are as a homage to It's a Small World. So firemen are kids, police are kids, the kids are kids, it's whatever, but it's all kids. And not done exactly like the Small World dolls now. But anyway, so as I paint down though, say if I'm painting a building and it goes on to the next panel down, I've got to match that. I've got to lay it out. I got to match it paint-wise and whatever color-wise going down. So, yeah, first I'll start at the top. It's going to be more difficult when I start going down, and I'll be on the floor a lot. Now, some of those, as I paint down onto that next row, then what's going on below that, like say there's other buildings in front of that building, then I can stand that panel up and paint it. But then I've now got to pick the next panel over. I got to match it with the top row coming down, and then match it to the one I'm going across. So, and then when I get all done, and we're projecting August as when I'll be done painting. I'm gonna work to try to get it done in early July or even June. because things happen, all kinds of stuff happens. It's just when I'm trying to do paintings, everything happens, and I try to stay on a schedule, but it's never always right. It's like having a house built. They say, oh, it'll take 3 months, and then 6 months later, you have a house. No building ever gets built on time. But anyway, I'll see if she'll let me show that picture. So it's going to be a big process. Like I said, when I get them all done, then, and I'll be painting an exterior paint, and it probably will be a semi-gloss, and because it'll hold up really well at the exterior, really good paint. And then probably we'll put a clear coat over that, protective coat, which will give more protection against the sun and everything. And that's something that can be put on. I just did this on a big mural I did, let's see, 5 or 6 years ago in Wheaton, that's 73 feet long and 23 feet high. And then we coated it with this clear coat. And I think every 7 or 10 years, they got to put another coat on if they want to. But frankly, the exterior paint is so good. As an example, I did, well, let me finish first, Oscar. Then what's going to happen, I'll come back to what I did. It was on a garage of all things. But anyway, then the city will go out, probably with big boom lifts. That's where you have the lift that goes out. It's got the arm extension that can slide back and forth and go up and down. And then they'll start probably on the top left corner and start attaching them with these really small bolts that go into the brick. And then they'll put the next one on. Next one will just go right across and go down, and I'll be out there saying, no, that's wrong. Wrong panel. So I'll have to remember to number them and do it properly. So that's how they'll go up. And they'll probably put them all up in a week, 2 week stops. It just depends. They do have to work around this beautiful plantings and shrubs and everything. But anyway, talking about the paint, when we moved to Chicago area, and of course now we live in Aurora, which is where I was born, and we love this city. It's a great city, really. But anyway, Holly says, no, it wasn't a hurricane, but just as potent. Okay, anyway. What are you all talking about on there? Nobody's paying attention to me. Let's talk about the hurricane. So, okay, Susie and I have been through 11 hurricanes, so we know about it. But anyway, this woman contacted me when we moved back here in 2004, and she said, she contacted me and she said, I want you to come out and paint 4 Disney characters on my garage. And I went, I don't do garages. I'm sorry. I don't want to. No, I don't want to do that. And but she was persistent, and she says, my kids want me to do this because she said they figure if I do this on the garage, then I'll get all the Disney stuff out of my yard. I'm thinking, how much stuff do you have in your yard? So finally I gave in after a couple months, and I went out to, it was actually in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, and I went out there and met her. I drove up in her drive and I went, oh dear God. Every little figure you could think of were all these Disney figures all over her yard, in the tree. They were up on the roof. And then you walked in the house, she had stuff on every wall. She had stuff on the ceiling, on the doors. She had figures everywhere. She's a lovely lady. We've been friends ever since. But I kidded her. I said, my God, you don't have any space left. And she goes, I know. And I think one of my favorites was that she had, we have the flour sugar set in our kitchen that are Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Pluto. And she had the same ones, except she had two sets. I went, how come you have two? She's, because I like them. Good reason. But anyway, one thing led to another. I ended up doing, forgot how many it was now, 30, I believe, Disney characters. I painted the garage door to look like the garage door was open. So, and then I painted Mickey's car in the middle. And Peter Pan is on the roof of the car, and then all the other Disney characters and Tinkerbell are all around the car and in front of the car. Now that was 2005. And she just sent me a picture and she said it is still in pristine condition. And she's like, I did it in high gloss paint, exterior paint. And she said, it looks like it was just painted yesterday. So what's that? 18 years? No, is that right? That's why I'm not an architect. I'm terrible at math. 2005, let's see, that would have been, no, that would have been 14 years ago. So I'm looking, oh, Minnie is telling me it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock your time, because you're in Orlando, where the hurricane is coming. So this is another crazy show. Thank you all for joining me. I've loved it as usual. I'm having a ball, and everybody. Wait a minute, I will do this properly here. So, get my cutlass. I need to. You know, we're doing Peter and the Starcatcher next year, and Sean and Susie are directing that show, and there's no parts in it for me. I'll just show up on stage one night with this. Hey, and everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Suzanne is going to be on the show. It should be a lot of fun again. It's always more fun with her. And in fact, maybe I'll wear this outfit again and she'll throw me off. She'll bump me off the screen. But everybody, and Romina, thank you so much. Stop laughing at me. And remember to buy my mug.
Oh, yeah.
Buy our books. She's showing the mug on the screen. Remember to embrace life's magic and dreams. We will see you next time around. And we'll see. And there we go as I keep hitting.